What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 120. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Hi.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen,
You can't hear me.
I hope that you enjoyed the new podcast intro. Are you saying something, or are you just being a goof?
No.
Yeah, okay. I hope you enjoyed the new podcast intro. Music by Wyatt Lane. Thank you so much, Wyatt, for that. And then, I did a little bit of animating, Connor, just a little bit. It's cheap. It looks cheap, but, I think it looks good, too, at the same time. Yeah. So, it's fun. Anyways, but if you're a keen eye on the channel, you'll know that this is not the first video that used the new animated intro. It is, in fact, the second video, because our Dishonored video game book club went live last night. We recorded it yesterday. You'll notice if you watch up until the end, our shirts will change. But yeah, for our video game book club, we reviewed Dishonored. Go watch that or stick around to the end of this. But what is this? This is the Two Penny Gamescast, your weekly gaming news show in which me and Connor sit down and we each give you two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, concerning the video game industry, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can catch us every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, or mainstream podcast services of your choice. You can also catch us live over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. Keep an eye out all day Tuesday. Phil will be streaming. He usually goes live about 2 p.m. Central Time for that, so he'll be streaming whatever he's streaming. It's God of War Day, though, so come 11 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to go live with probably about the first hour or two of some God of War. I'm very excited about that. The first hour will also be recorded and put it up on youtube.com/2pennygames. Check that out in the coming week. And get Connor. We're very excited for God of War. It's coming. It's here. It's here.
I will be playing it exclusively for a little while.
As will I, Connor. I'm so hyped and excited. On my PlayStation Vita, I downloaded the God of War HD remasters for God of War 1 and 2, and I've been playing some God of War 1. Let me tell you what. Times are different.
On your what?
On my PlayStation Vita.
Who plays with that anymore, Tom?
Nobody.
Why don't you just get it on the PlayStation?
I can't. Oh, I could get it on my PS3, but I left my PS3 back at home.
Oh, well.
I'm away at college. I don't have my PlayStation 3 with me.
For some reason, I thought they had like some kind of remaster or some port.
God of War 3 is on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's only that one.
Yeah, because you remember God of War 3 came out on the PS3.
I do. That was the at the time, I remember that was the reason to get a PS3.
It was a big reason.
It came out around the release. Yeah.
Good game, that God of War 3. I like all the God of War games that I've played. I've only played the main ones. I haven't played Ascension. I haven't played the PSP games. I did think about it for half a second. I was like, do I want to buy Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta right now? But they were $15 each. $15 for a PSP game from 2007? What?
You gotta shell it out, man. You gotta shell it out.
Still? Okay.
Yeah,
that should be $5. You know?
Yeah, it really should. But they're not going to lower it because that means less money.
Nope. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the show. Remember, next week we will be reviewing God of War Ragnarok while I'm thinking about it. So check in next week, Sunday night. It will go live. Unless something terrible happens to us. But yeah, God of War Ragnarok review. We're going to have it. It'll be there. Come check back on that. God of War first hour or two playthrough with me. That'll be live on the channel. Everyone go check that out. But, Connor, let's drop some sense on them. Let's get right into the news. First topic of the day. Embracer Group shuts down Square Enix Montreal studio just months after acquiring it. This is your first penny. This is a Game Informer article by Charles Harte. According to a Bloomberg report, video game publisher Embracer has shut down Onama, the studio formerly known as Square Enix Montreal, just months after its acquisition. Some staff will be transferred to Eidos Montreal, another studio owned by Embracer. This news comes just weeks after Onama underwent a rebranding process where it adopted the new name. Excuse me. Sorry, I was fighting my throat there. I'm going to take that again. This news comes just a few weeks after Onama underwent a rebranding process where it adopted the new name. Onama was best known for its work on the Go series, turn-based spin-off of popular Eidos interactive titles designed for mobile. This includes Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, and Deus Ex Go. Their most recent work was Tomb Raider Reloaded, which came to mobile devices earlier this year, and their future plans involved a title based on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Earlier this year, Onama was just one part of a much larger series of Embracer's acquisitions, which included Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. In August, Embracer proceeded to acquire Limited Run Games, Tripwire Interactive, Tuxedo Labs, the IP rights to The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and several more studios. Oof. First off, thoughts and prayers out to those who got the rug pulled out from under them. But I think we kind of predicted some of this when Embracer went through and purchased like a third of Square Enix's catalog of like, new management. Don't buy a new house, you know?
Yeah. And as we saw right now, people lost their jobs as a result of it, which unfortunately is one of those issues people bring up when they talk about these big groups just buying up video game companies and other companies and whatnot, and forming somewhat of a monopoly. Now, obviously, we're far away from that as far as the game industry goes. Tons of different companies exist out there, but it is kind of an insight into how bad it could get when you have just a large purchase of a bunch of studios by one group. Because obviously, they're going to be prioritizing profit. You know, these people, they don't care about video games. They don't care about it at all. So they look at their bottom line and decide their business practices from that, which just so happens screws over regular working people, which hopefully not too many lost their jobs as a result of that, because it did say that some of them were transferred to Eidos Montreal, but obviously not everyone would have been able to make that journey over to another studio. So this is the end result of that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you. It's unfortunate. It sucks. And the timing it from the outside especially seems like, what was the point? You bought them, you rebranded them, you renamed them, you went to the problem of the legislation, the trademarkings and all of this, and then just to throw it all away. Why? And also, this was a talented studio. I played Hitman and Lara Croft Go. Those are good puzzle games. Those are fun puzzle games. Like those are good time. I never got around to Deus Ex Go, but it's a good game too, I assume. So it's really quite unfortunate that we lost this talent, this small little, slice of the industry that was putting out quality product. Not the best games in the world by any chance, but definitely a good time. Definitely a good time. Like, I remember back-to-backing Hitman and Lara Croft Go and being like, man, these games are dope. Like, these are great games. I platinumed both games because I was like, this is worth it. This is a good time. So yeah, very unfortunate for the devs here. Very unfortunate that we don't get to see what's next from this group. And I just hope everyone finds some footing. I hope we're not lost in the shuffle here.
Yeah. Now, this is definitely off topic, but everyone's probably paid attention to the Twitter news with Elon Musk screwing it over. It's always good to remember that the people who make these kinds of decisions, just because they're at the head of a company, doesn't mean they're intelligent by a long shot. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean they're good people. It doesn't mean you have to judge people based off them individually. And the truth of the matter is, stupid people exist, and they rise to positions like this. So, obviously, I'm not doubting these people that they are saving money by cutting this studio, but whether that was overall the right decision to make, you can't just give them the benefit of the doubt. They're fallible human beings. So always keep that in mind with these stories if you feel like, oh, well, it's just business. Because maybe it's not. Maybe it's just stupidity. Obviously, I don't know. In this case, if it is, just always keep your mind open for that kind of stuff.
Some staff will be transferred to Eidos Montreal, which currently, I believe, are the ones doing the new Tomb Raider game that's coming. Hopefully, it's a sizable portion of that. Maybe it's just so that, we can sort of combine and expand upon that team and that, that project to hopefully make profit ends larger or whatever. The business side of it all. And they couldn't find reasoning as to why to keep the studio alive. They had a good mobile front, with I would play an Avatar: The Last Airbender game. Personally. So it's unfortunate
I
that we're
like
not
that
gonna
show.
see where that's gonna come. What?
I like that show.
I like that
maybe
show.
play that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna watch the live action Netflix?
There's a live action
Oh
Netflix
yes.
Avatar thing.
There's coming one. There's coming.
Oh,
one.
it's coming.
Yep. It's coming. Yeah.
Oh,
Not
okay.
here
Yeah.
yet.
Okay. Now that you mentioned it, I vaguely remember headlines of it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
They're bringing back like original people, right? Or like producers or something, right? Or
Yeah.
they were and
Yeah.
then they left or something.
Yeah. Something like original creators, whatnot. I mean, it's just the idea of like, oh, take something that's already made and just making a live action adaptation of it. It's like, okay, good for you.
Well, you can't like 1-to-1 that. Like we've seen that, and it doesn't always work. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, Connor, moving on to our next topic of the day. My first penny. Shush, IGN. Marvel and EA signed 3-game deal starting with Iron Man. This is an IGN article by Ryan Dinsdale. Marvel has entered an agreement with FIFA and Battlefield publisher EA to make Marvel has entered an agreement with FIFA and Battlefield publisher EA to make at least 3 action-adventure video games based on the Marvel comics. As reported by Bloomberg, this deal will begin with the previously announced Iron Man game from EA Motive, with all 3 games coming to consoles and PC. Though details about what's coming after Iron Man are still thin, each game will feature its own original story set in the Marvel Universe. Perhaps known more for its sports or traditional shooter games, EA is looking to increase its offerings with the Marvel deal. Quote, "We have an intentional, deliberate strategy to have a balanced portfolio," said Chief Operating Officer Laura Miley. Quote, "There will be Marvel fans who don't play other EA games. It's unclear if the second or third game will be centered on different Marvel characters like the Hulk or Thor, or there'll be follow-ups to the Iron Man game, similar to what Insomniac did with Spider-Man, its spin-off Miles Morales and upcoming sequel. Nothing about a release schedule or single versus multiplayer focus was mentioned either, though we do know EA's Motive Iron Man is a, quote, single-player action-adventure game." So, we covered the Iron Man game. We talked about how, coming from Star Wars Squadrons or working on the Battlefront 2 space combat mode, expanding into Star Wars Squadrons, expanding into the coming up Dead Space remake, which looks promising, and then into an Iron Man game, their own original story, their own original gameplay, their own original feel. This seems to be a good pathway for Motive. And I think I've been saying it for a little bit now, but I understand it's like trepidatious territory, but I think EA is trying to turn around the public messaging here. I think they're after the Battlefront 2 fiasco, I think they really are trying to turn around and get a better sort of feel for what's coming out and be in more good graces than they have been in the past. I think depending on how this deal executes, I think that this will be another step in that direction if it's executed on correctly. But I think them only being this is different, obviously, than the Star Wars exclusive deal, where it was 10 years, just Star Wars titles, and they ended up putting out like 3 games and a couple of mobile games. Like, who cares? This being hey, we've got 3 games, they're coming. We don't really know a lot of details on them, but we do know one of them will be a single-player action-adventure Iron Man game. That's exciting. And then now you look around at EA's stable, and you go, okay, what else can we do here? I think it being in-house with EA, I believe we talked about it when we first covered the Iron Man story, but, I'm sure Motive can learn some things from Anthem. Anthem very much being hey, this is kind of like an Iron Man game, sort of. We like flying around and shooting and things like that. I'm sure Motive can learn a lot from that, hopefully, if their technology is being shared back and forth and sort of their tactics and codes and so forth. So, I think they'll be able to learn a lot from that. I've got cautiously optimistic hopes for that Iron Man game. I think Motive is stepping up in some really solid ways and slowly, growing into a quality studio. Star Wars Squadrons was a solid title. It looks like Dead Space is going to be good. So I'm just excited to see them continue to grow in this direction. From here, now you got to start scratching your head and wondering. I think Respawn is got their hands full with Apex Legends and then their 3 Star Wars games that they're doing. So they're probably chilling out. BioWare, you assume, also probably got their hands full with Dragon Age and Mass Effect. They really need to lock down and re-establish themselves as a dominant Western RPG front, and I think doing it with traditional IP that they have is a good idea. I think maybe don't hand them the keys to Marvel just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it gets a little tricky, doesn't it, Connor? Now you got to look around and be like, all right, well, what else can we do? Are the It Takes Two guys doing a Marvel game? What kind of Marvel game could they do? That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? If they did maybe I had an idea for it. They like co-op. What do they do? Maybe like an X-Men game, a little bit of X-Men for the It Takes Two guys. That could work. I could see. Yeah, Connor, go ahead. How are you feeling? Where are you going? I like this. I think it's great. I think it's good that it's not exclusive, and then we're getting more than just Insomniac titles that are of quality. And then I think, we've had some ups, we've had some downs in the last couple of years. I think now we're gonna find a good middle ground of like, hey, these are quality titles.
Yeah, well, I hope they're good quality titles. I'm especially looking forward to now that we're gonna shift from an oversaturation of Marvel films to an oversaturation of video games. It's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna love the discourse around it.
I mean, the joy about it is that every Marvel film looks and feels the same. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for recently, But video games are different.
Yeah, which is the happy part of this. Even though I'm gonna be annoyed to hell by all the dumbass Marvel fans bothering the hell out of me again. I think overall the game itself they have potential. As you said, it's all up to EA, balls in their court to actually make games that resonate with people. Because you mentioned Squadrons. Seems like a good game. Seems like people liked it, but it obviously didn't hit this big space. Not a lot of people were talking about it. Which I'm struggling to remember how many big games EA's making that I'm constantly looking forward to. They obviously make games, but they never have as much of an impact as they used to. Yeah. Obviously, they have certain IPs that are still big, but it's nice for them to actually, even if it is Marvel stuff, which I don't inherently dislike at all. I'm happy that we're actually going to get more video games and see if there's if the potential in those games can actually be put to good use. Because it is surprising that there's not as many Marvel video games right now when you consider the film landscape and how successful those have been doing.
Well, they're coming.
So, yeah.
They're coming.
They're finally coming now. It took long enough. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. I hope they're different. Because as you said before, obviously I think they will be. Because it's different studios, it's different teams that are going to be making these new Marvel video games. So that's the best I can hope for right now. I'd like to see more unique concepts. Not like, 'cause like one of the things they float is Thor. I like Thor. It'd be kind of weird if they do Iron Man, who's a guy who floats around and flies around and does stuff, and then goes to another guy who also kind of flies around and does stuff. And I want them to be more diverse with what they're choosing to adapt. Like we got Wolverine coming out. Mm-hmm. That's a nice, interesting spin away from Spider-Man, who's this, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and now we're going to a grizzled guy who cuts people up with his iron claws. That kind of gap in types of characters that Marvel has, because there's tons of Marvel characters. Mm-hmm. I hope it's put to the fullest extent that it can be, rather than just going with, we're gonna have Captain America, and then we're gonna have who's the other big popular one? Yeah, Thor. I said, yeah, we'll do Thor, which I wouldn't be opposed to, but hopefully they make it interesting. Yeah, but I think I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to what these games would play like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, and I think you make a good point. Like, we are excited for Wolverine, one, because we know Insomniac is a really great and quality studio that, has had their hands dipped into melee combat type action adventure games forever. You think of Ratchet and Clank, you think of Sunset Overdrive, you think of Spider-Man, and you go, yeah, no, that's a quality team. Like, that team knows what they're doing. And the breadth of fresh air that Wolverine will provide from Spider-Man specifically, being the more acrobatic gymnast type, we're running through, we're doing all these air combos and stuff. Wolverine very much being, I'm grounded. I'm on the ground. Mm-hmm. I gotta bust out, this, instead of more, kicks and punches, it's just swipes. Like, he's a brawler, and he's messy and dirty, Mm-hmm. So that's what's inherently interesting about that. I agree with you. I think it would be kind of boring if we just jump from Iron Man straight to like a Thor, though I think a Thor game would provide its own kind of spectacle, especially if they take notes from the recent God of War or something in terms of presentation or so forth. Multiplayer titles, I assume, are going to be itching their way in there somewhere. Who knows? I think EA has been itching for its own games as service game for a while, though granted the Avengers game, the Square Enix Marvel's Avengers, might have put a bad taste in people's mouths in terms of superheroes and games as service, but we'll have to wait and see and find out for that. I think it's of course these games are going to get a lot of attention, so we're going to see big titles from them, but I think it's more interesting that Motive has the first game coming out. Hazelight, of It Takes Two and A Way Out. We don't know what they're doing right now. What are they doing right now? I'm sure in order to strike up this deal, they had to have some kind of tech demo or something of like, hey, we're working on this. Can we make a game out of it or something? What that could be, I'm not quite sure. I'm scratching my head trying to think. Maybe like a Fantastic Four game from Hazelight. That would be interesting. You think of, sort of the stretchy mechanics and things that happened in It Takes Two and how that could translate to Mr. Fantastic or The Thing or, maybe some Human Torch or Sue Storm. You never know. That would be an interesting concept. And I think, that's Marvel's first family. That's Marvel's biggest family. Like, I think off of the story writing credits that we had in It Takes Two, I think it could be interesting to see what they do with Fantastic Four in that way. There's been a rumored Black Panther open world game forever. I don't think that's the what are they called? What is Aiming Henning Studio? Sundance Entertainment. With their Captain America crossover Black Panther. I don't think that takes a Black Panther open world off the table. Like, Black Panther open world could be in this deal, by one of their studios. We'll have to wait and see for that. Doctor Strange has been a much requested hero for a while. Daredevil has been a much requested hero for a while for a video game and so forth. So, there's plenty of opportunity, and all of these heroes play and act differently. Daredevil's a little closer to Spider-Man, but you look at Daredevil as a character, and then you look at the Batman Arkham games, and you look at Spider-Man, and you go, there's no reason we don't have this. You think of Black Panther, and you think of, again, Batman, and you think of, I'm struggling to think of something cool. I don't know. Saints Row. Some of the power stuff that we had in Saints Row. I'm pulling random shit. And you go, oh, I can see how this could work, And I'll say Black Panther in Avengers Assemble played kind of cool. Like, it was kind of fun being him. It'd be interesting to see where else we could pull from. And then what's cool about comics is that it doesn't have to be the same thing every time. Like, we do have, a breadth of, like, multiverse things to pull from and different ideas. And comic readers often are super cool with seeing a new take on their favorite characters. It's why something like Miles Morales worked so well, is because you went, oh, okay, let's do that. Or, like, there's 100 different types of Spider-Man. The multiverse in Spider-Man is so tied together. Maybe we see Spider-Man title come out of this. I think that's a bad idea. But because Insomniac is fucking killing it, and you don't want to be compared to that, especially if you're not up to snuff. But, there's a lot of different ways that we could take this. And, much like how I wish Star Wars would creep into different genres, Marvel games kind of do that. At least they do that a little better. We do see a lot of action adventure in that, but, we see the open worlds. We see, we've got Midnight Suns coming with a card game right now. We see Marvel Snap on phones, which is, currently in my top 10 for the year. I spent over 3 hours playing Marvel Snap last night, Connor. It was a great time. I had a great time. I got my Spider-Man back. The backs of my cards are now Spider-Man. This is great.
I saw you post.
Also, Connor, they're adding a PvP mode.
There's not already?
No, there's not. I mean, it's like random matchmaking, but like now I could invite you. Remember we talked about this in the video?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
come over to the dark side, Connor. Come over.
It's not. I have to pay for it.
You don't have to pay for it.
I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to keep saying that so I don't have to.
Yeah, it's a free game. You can play it. You can play it as much as you want.
No, you can't. That's my excuse, Tavin.
You don't even get that much of a booster for buying the battle pass. Like, I'm still getting my ass kicked sometimes. Though, last night, probably like 8 out of 10 games I won last night. I played more than 10 games, but I'm just giving you a ratio that you'll understand. Like, I won 80%. I'm kicking ass right now in Marvel Snap. Let me tell you what. I'm having a good ass time.
You gotten over your hump, huh?
Yeah, I was in the dumps for a little while, but now I'm in a good place. Anyways, Connor, anything else to add on Marvel and EA game deal here?
Not particularly. I mean, it's a ways off. So when it comes, it comes. If it's good, it's good. Actually, I guess the only other thing is, since it will come later on down the line, it'll be nice to have the separation from the old Marvel characters that we all know and we were raised with. At least in both of our cases. So it'll be nice to see the separation of that of right now and how we think about those characters and years down the line. I don't know if it'll do anything, but like I said, I'm interested in seeing how it forms.
Indeed, yeah. And then just as a general thing, are you interested in this Iron Man game from Motive at all?
I mean, I'm the concept itself isn't like drawing me in, but I have no reason to say it's gonna be bad or I think it's going to be bad. So I'll wait and hold off my opinion until I see gameplay or I see some kind of trailer that hypes it up properly or whatnot.
I'm gauging my excitement based on how Dead Space comes out. If Dead Space comes out right and it feels good and it, good to play and stuff, especially in the 0G segments, that in combination with their work from Star Wars Squadrons, with their ancillary, help from EA, from BioWare with Anthem, I think this could be a bit of a sleeper hit. But I just need to see a little more. I need to see a little more before I decide the quality of the studio and what we're getting from this title. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of quality and how nobody likes it, we're moving on to PlayStation. This is my second penny of the day. We're doing a bit of a twofer here. We're cheating in our last two topics. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. PlayStation Plus loses nearly 2 million subscribers months after relaunch. Sony's June relaunch of PlayStation Plus doesn't look like it's going entirely as planned. I'm sorry, this is a Kotaku article from John Walker. Sony's June relaunch of PlayStation Plus doesn't look like it's going entirely as planned. In the Japanese giant's latest financial report, it's shown that since PlayStation Plus, it's lost 1.9 million subscribers between July and September this year. Sony's CFO Hiroki Totoki said there, quote, hasn't been great momentum. Despite this, the company has simultaneously seen a 10% increase in revenue. Fuck. Excuse me. As noticed by VGC, the reports reveal that PlayStation Plus subscription numbers actually fell following the much-touted relaunch, which saw the figures drop from 47.3 million to 45.4 million. Those are clearly still healthy numbers, almost double those Microsoft can boast for Game Pass, but certainly not what Sony would have been hoping for given the enormously improved nature of the subscription service. Improved? PlayStation Plus's relaunch was certainly not an easy offer to praise. What the fuck is this writing? I'm sorry, I'm being an asshole. PlayStation Plus's relaunch was certainly not an easy offer to praise, adding 3 overlapping tiers with some confusion among potential subscribers over which tier provided access to which era of games. It's understandable that all the promotional noise made in June would have served to simply remind a lot of people about the money coming out of their account each month. Given they would then have had to fathom which version of the new service they wanted, it makes sense that those who'd not used it in a long while would have instead just canceled. What's more surprising is that rebooted offers with hundreds of classic PlayStation games available for a sub haven't attracted a significant new audience. Sony's determination not to include new first-party titles, but rather charge a defiant $70 for them, could well be putting off many who see Game Pass going in entirely the opposite direction. Okay, so 10% increase with in what was it in specifically in revenue. Help me out here, Connor. PlayStation hasn't put out that many games this year, right? Like, we have Horizon, which kind of seemed to just kind of do what it did. Nobody, came and went a little bit and didn't light it fire. From that, has PlayStation done anything this year? Am I missing something? They pushed Sifu pretty hard, well enough. They pushed Stray pretty hard, but I don't think either of those games really did numbers like that to qualify for a 10% increase in revenue. So you got to wonder, is it because, there is a faction of people who are upping their PlayStation Plus subscribers or subscription, who are, jumping on those higher tiers. And so it's more than balances out that 2 million players lost, because you think, oh, okay, yeah, 2 million players, $60 a year, or whatever, payment plan they were subscribed to, we lost out on that. But,
Mhm.
Another 1.5 doubled their subscription. So
Yeah.
it balanced out, it increased, and then another, 0.5 million, increased it by 50%. So, now we've got, sort of this weird like number crunching where we are seeing more money, but we have lost a couple of people.
Yeah, I'm assuming console sales also factor into this revenue, which now I see
the increased price in foreign markets for the PlayStation 5.
Not to mention more accessibility to it now that it's, probably, I'm assuming I haven't actually tried now since I have one. I'm guessing it's probably easier than it has been in recent years.
From what I've seen on the internet, it's a mixed bag. Some places it is easier. You can find some in Targets and on shelves and stuff. And then other places, they're nowhere to be seen. So
yeah,
I think it just kind of depends where you are right now. But I think it is, like, if you want one, you can get one. Like, it is possible. It might be challenging, but it's possible now. It's not like how it started and it was like, nope, you can't get one.
Yeah. Additionally to that, the article mentioned how it's made people reevaluate whether they actually need a subscription. Oh, I guess I get the free games never mind. I can't cancel it.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I have mine still, is for the free games every month. I'm like,
I just forgot.
And also the offerings have been good. Last month we got Injustice 2 and Super Hot. I forget what we got this month, but it was Neo 2. Yeah,
which I've actually been wanting to play.
There's some quality ass titles coming out of the PlayStation Plus front, and I think from word across the pond, I don't spend a lot of time on the Xbox platform, and what I do on PC Game Pass. The Games with Gold product has been middling at best for a long time, so it's hard to fight that. But Connor, I ask you, has PlayStation become too prideful? Are they doing too much? Because included in this topic of PlayStation, we've also got PSVR 2 launch date and price. This is from the PlayStation blog. PlayStation VR 2 launches in February at $549.99. Over the past several months, Isabel Tomatis, Vice President of SIE. Over the past several months, we've introduced PSVR 2 and provide glimpses into the next generation of virtual reality gaming, which will allow you to escape into new worlds while feeling a groundbreaking sense of immersion. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that PlayStation VR 2 is officially launching on February 22nd, 2023. PlayStation VR 2 Sense Controller charging station, designed specifically for the PSVR 2 Sense Controller, will also launch the same day. And then at a retail price of $549.99 US dollars. There's also a Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle in for a full $599.99. So Connor, essentially $550, $50 more expensive than the most expensive version of the PlayStation 5. Yeah, this is overshooting what I was expecting by at least $150.
That's they are getting a bit prideful. I don't think we understand what $550 can be used for. You can take a nice trip somewhere in the United States, possibly a country, depending on where you go. And I'm going to spend that instead on a VR machine. Like, it's probably good, but I think I'd get more memorable, valuable things spending my money elsewhere, even saving it, than buying a PSVR 2 for that much. Because that's pretty ridiculous as far as prices go.
It's really crazy because of, I'm looking it up right now, the original PSVR price, I want to say it was like $300. But granted, like, when you think about it, that wasn't with, no, this is PSVR 2. God damn it. Was $399. And at the time, that was cheap. Everything else was selling $700, $800. But now we're in a place where the Vive and the Oculus, like, they're competitive prices. Like, these are competitive price points for arguably better hardware. The PSVR 2 is quality hardware this time around. The first time it was on the cheaper end, but this time it is quite quality, in terms of what they're able to do. And it also comes with controllers, a pared down wired system, but it is still wired. And you assume that they're going to support it more this time around. That's the most reaching I can do to justify this price. It comes with controllers and a charging station. Cool. You're more expensive than the PlayStation 5 console, and your output is not going to be the same as the PlayStation 5. Why would I buy this? And also, I have to have a PS5 just to get this. So, what? I have to spend over $1,000 to get your product? No.
Yeah, guys, buy a PC at that point. Literally
buy a PC. Like, you have more accessibility. You can get Game Pass. You can get all these other things, and then the VR can come to the left. And the VR market is mostly on PC anyway. There are some great PlayStation VR titles, from what I understand. I've never played any of them because I don't have a PSVR. But PSVR, the first one, did solid stuff. Like, it did quality numbers. And yeah, to see this price point, this is hard pressed. It's hard to justify this. Like, it really is. I'm quite disappointed in this price point. I was hoping for $400. That seems reasonable to me. If you really wanted to be really fucking competitive, $350. But yeah, for $550, you're asking for a fucking lot, like a lot. And yeah, I don't think it's reasonable for the amount of output and what y'all put into your VR titles. Now, granted, if the rumor mill is to be believed, they're about to put out some real heavy hitters in terms of, like, I've heard talks of Insomniac working on VR stuff, Naughty Dog's working on VR stuff, allegedly. Like, there are VRs coming from the big boys, in terms of, like, they're breaking off into smaller teams and doing it that way. But at what cost? Like, what are we doing here? Like, $550 is so much, on top of the fact that your VR games are also going to be $70. This is a lot. Like, this is a lot. And also, I read a report this week that Xbox Series X's are selling at a deficit. Like I mentioned, when the PlayStation 5 price hike increased. Like, you sell in the red and then make it back on the back end with software. What are you doing, PlayStation? Like, this is technology that has proved itself in a way that means, like, it's not going anywhere, but it's not a core pillar of play yet. It may never be. You never know. But, like, you need to make these shit approachable. Like, in a way that makes sense for us in our brains to justify purchasing. I have to buy a $400 to $500 PS5 and then a $550 machine and then games on top of that. It's too much. It's hard to justify.
So, do you think these are going to sell well overall when they actually roll them out? People are going to, because obviously we're not getting it, but do you think the rest of the gaming landscape will think the same way? I err on the side of no, because that is a lot, and it does require a PS5. I think the PS5 thing kind of kills it for a lot of people out there.
I think it depends on what your metrics of success are.
Sales.
The PSVR 1, PlayStation sees as a success. Like, it worked, obviously, because they made another one. And I think they're hoping for more success here than what we got from the first one. But VR has been around long enough to where everybody kind of understands it now. Like, we all generally, there's no more talk of, like, oh, this is a gimmick. Like, that talk is dead. And now we just see it. Like, you see it on TikTok, you see it on YouTube, you see people playing it, you see people having fun, you see people in the wild playing it, And so I think generally, like, we understand it as a function now. So I think that will increase sales in that market, in that chance. But, like, it would be better if everyone could get their hands on PlayStation 5. If everyone had a PlayStation 5, then yeah, this would be easier. But because things are hard to come by, it kind of stifles that a little bit. Will it be popular in a mainstream way? No. But I think it will compete with other VR headsets, but it's no longer the clear, like, I don't think there's a clear reason to get a PlayStation VR 2 outside of you are getting games from the PlayStation studios. In that, like, PlayStation Studios games aren't for everybody. So, we would want those. Call of the Mountain looks great. It looks dope. And I heard from impressions from people who've had their hands on it, and I've, read and watched a few of those. People are positive about that game and what it's going to be and are excited for it. But I just think there's so much that we're still playing around. Like, we still need to figure out what a VR game is now. Like, we need to standardize it. We figured out what doesn't work. We know that much. Now it's just what really works,
I'm testing things out.
Yeah, let's really dial in and see what happens. So will this be successful? Probably, but will it be gangbuster? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm erring on the side of no for that one. But it's going to be out in February, so we won't have to wait long to find out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I think the key thing is that when it does come out, how quick does PlayStation talk about it? That's the measure. If they don't talk about it immediately and they're just like, oh yeah, it's doing great or whatever. Like if they don't, if they're not like, oh, we did this much, like we're doing great, then it's not meeting what they really wanted. Connor, let's wrap it up because we've got a beefy episode here because we've got an almost hour-long review of Dishonored that we've already recorded.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. Just some release dates. Just got some release dates things. This actually came out today. Diablo 4 is set to launch in April 2023, it's claimed. We're using an insider. Today is Sunday.
For all those that don't know.
Xbox Era's Nick Baker and Windows Central's Jez Corden have claimed that Diablo 4 is set to release in April 2023. According to both Baker's and Corden's insider sources, the game is set to be revealed at the Game Awards in December 2022. Diablo 4 is slated for a 2023 release date and launch towards the end of Activision Blizzard's fiscal year. Could make a lot of sense for the company. Rumors appearing over the summer revealed that Diablo 4 would be announced at the Game Awards, originally leaking via the subreddit Classic WoW. Both Xbox Era and Windows Central report that Blizzard is planning a, quote, sizable marketing blitz for Diablo 4, with its marketing starting at the Game Awards. In addition, Windows Central reports that pre-orders should open at the event, which could include various digital editions and premium physical collector's editions with various goodies for hardcore fans. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of things from Diablo. Looks okay to me. I know some Diablo fans were a little disappointed in the presentation we got last time we saw it, which was fucking win, Connor, at Xbox Bethesda show. No, it wouldn't have been there. Where was it? I don't remember.
I cannot remember myself. All the Diablo stuff I don't really pay too close attention to since it's just not my game. Maybe this one will be, but I hope fans are going to be satisfied with it because it's been a long time coming. Diablo 4, and it would suck if it didn't live up to any kind of expectations the fans may have. Yeah, are you gonna play it if it comes out? When it comes out?
It's hard to tell. April's busy. The first half of the year is very, very busy in terms of game releases. So I'm just not quite sure, especially because it seems we've got some type of official release date trailer for Atomic Heart, which is a game that you've had your eye on for quite a while. February 21st, 2023. God damn. Fuck.
It's a busy day. And this one looks high quality. I am very satisfied that it's finally coming out. Because I've been paying attention to this game for a long while. Because they would do a lot of trailers. They would never give release dates or even a window when it was going to come out. But now they give us a date. Even though it is, for some people that may or may not remember, they did say that it was coming in Burr of this year. I thought maybe it was going to come in November.
We're in November. No word?
Well, this explains why. Funny enough, I actually had a conversation with a coworker just a couple days before this happened, and he was like, "Yeah, we're looking. Like, have you heard of Atomic Heart?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been looking forward to that for so long." And we talked about it for a while. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know when it's coming out though. I guess we'll find out maybe sooner or later because it's supposed to come out in Burr of this year." And now here we are. And it still looks great. Looks really, really good. Now, one of the things that they released recently was a showcase of one of the boss battles. You're fighting literally just a giant mechanical ball. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit disappointed with the boss fight because it seemed like it was, first of all, it seems difficult. This seems like a difficult game based off that gameplay. Since obviously the trailers don't really do that kind of stuff justice. But it seemed like you were just kind of hammering away at weak points that would pop up after you evaded enough of his attacks, and the health bar went down really, really low, so it looked like fights were dragging on very long. That could have just been the boss itself or the person playing it not doing it well, because the guy did keep on dying. But in their defense, it did look like a difficult game. But that fear aside, it looks like fighting normal enemies is going to be very fun. I'm going to enjoy listening to a game in Russian, which is the way everyone should play this game, because it's set in Russia, and you're fighting Russians. Oh, you're not going to? You're going to play American? You're so American.
Connor, did you play Metro in Russia?
No. But that was...
Shut the fuck
they
up.
They had a Russian accent, though. They had a Russian accent. This one, they don't have a Russian accent.
Oh, whatever.
It's different. It's different. And I was a younger gamer at that point, so I was uncultured. I was stupid.
Connor, Metal Gear Solid 3 is a game about Americans in Russia made by Japanese people.
Okay, see, that's a situation where it's so a mishmash of everything, and it being in Russia really doesn't matter. Whereas something like Atomic Heart, it's in Soviet-era Russia. Metro is in Russia. Everything else is cut off. The outside world's non-existent at this point, and you're in a subway, a metro system.
Yeah.
America barely has a metro system. So listening to them in English now wouldn't be the right choice in my mind. Also, the voice actors sounded better in the Russian voice acting of this game comparative to the English ones, which kind of were rough.
This is my thing. You cannot judge acting based off of a language you don't understand.
But I don't hear anything bad about it.
That's not how acting works.
I don't have any negatives to say about it. And it's a Russian game set in Soviet Russia, very Russia-y. Kind of makes sense to go with the Russian voice actors.
Okay. All right. This is one I would like to have time for, but it comes out in the middle of a bunch of other shit that I like. So tough, real tough. Like,
well, I'll play it and I'll let you know.
When does Fire Emblem Engage come out?
Oh shit! Does it come out? No. That's like April or May or something like that.
I think it's a February title, Connor.
Don't tell. I know it might be. You're right. It might be.
We're both clicking away.
Yeah, I know.
Fire Emblem Engage.
January. Thank God. January 20th.
January 20th. That gives you 31 days to play to play all of Fire Emblem Engage.
I won't play. At that point, I would definitely be in the area where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pick it up. I'm not gonna just solely play that game.
This is an open world RPG, isn't it? Atomic Heart. Am I wrong? Is it a linear shooter?
Don't actually remember that. I don't think I remembered them saying that. I thought it was just a linear shooter. But now that I think about it, they never did say that it was.
I feel like it's got some open, because it's given me very, very much some BioShock cross Fallout vibes.
Yeah, I actually haven't checked
BioShock
up on
gameplay
that.
with a Fallout setting.
I was so hooked up on just the gameplay and the style of it that I never even bothered to think about that. I just slobbered up whatever they showed me.
Anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the news this week. Oops, I clicked on a thing. That is up for the news this week, but we are not done. In fact, we are about to cut into our review for our 2 Penny Game Club, our monthly gaming show for Dishonored. It's me, it's Connor, it's Phil, knocking back some brewskis, talking about some Dishonored. There were no brewskis. But it was a good time, so please stick around for that coming up right now. But until next time, everyone have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
See? Well,
what's poppin', players? Welcome back to another 2 Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which me, Tavin Bothel, my 2 good buddies, Phil Shoemaker and Connor Elliott, say hello to the people, gentlemen.
Hello.
We sit down to every month, and throughout that month, we have played a video game. At the first 2 Penny Gamescast show, we review that game. This month, we have been reviewing Dishonored. So we're going to review some Dishonored for you. And then at the end of the show, we're going to rank and review it or rank it amongst the other games that we've played so far. You can go and check out a full playlist at youtube.com/twopennygamescast where they're all listed right there. Number 1, currently, The Last of Us. Number 4, because we've done 4 of these, is Resident Evil 4. Where are they in between? Well, go check the playlist and go find out and see what else is up there. Or just wait till the end of this episode.
We're probably
gentlemen.
tell you anyway.
Yeah, well, we tell you anyway. Gentlemen, we have been playing some Dishonored. We're ready to review it. We've beaten it. Some of us have even went through and played some DLC. Some of us have platinumed the game. And before we get started...
The bare minimum.
The bare minimum. And before we get started, I'm going to come back with some quick facts. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The quick facts are back. If you're an old fan of the After the Hype reviews that me and Phil used to do, we got some quick facts here for some Game Club. So, Dishonored initially came out October 9th, 2012. It released on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Has a Metacritic score on Xbox 360 at least of an 88. And within its first week, sold about 460,000 units, and then went on to sell millions on PC and further consoles when it came to PlayStation 4, when it came to Xbox One. Gentlemen, I believe we all played the Dishonored Definitive Edition. I played Dishonored, the PS4 version. Connor, where did you play?
Definitive Edition. Got the DLC for free.
On what console?
On PS5. But the PS4 copy.
The PS4 version on the PS5. And then, Phil, where were you at?
I was on PC using an Xbox controller, using Game Pass.
Lovely. There we go. And then, Connor, I believe this is your first time ever touching Dishonored. I played it way back in the day when it came out.
I played
Phil,
like 2.5 hours of it.
2.5 hours. Yeah. Oh, that's weird that just happened. So, Connor, as a first-timer, what did you think of Dishonored?
I thought it was great. I remember when the game came out back in 2010. 2010.
12.
If I'm mistaken.
12. Just said it.
Yeah, it exited my mind. But I do remember.
I thought it was earlier too.
Yeah, I thought so as well. But you know, it picked up a lot of traction the year it came out, and I heard a lot about it. My brother had it. He actually is the reason why I was able to play it for free, because he already had a copy for it, just hanging around here. And he loved it, but I personally never touched on it until now. And I have to say, I was extremely satisfied. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, you finished the game way before me and Tavin.
And then I was like, okay, well, the DLC looks cool. And I jumped into that. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now, I'll say in the base game, which, you know, the first thing I could say right off the bat is the level design is great. It's easily one of those games you can come back to multiple times over and over and over again, which I, of course, won't since I just beat the game. But down the line, when I have an itch to play it again, if it comes back up, it's one of those ones that'd be really easy to jump into it, and I can have a completely different experience with the game, which actually leads to me to the thing that stood out to me the most about it. So, to people that don't know, in Dishonored, there's 2 endings. There's the good ending and the bad ending, the low chaos and the high chaos. The way you get
cut you off there. There's actually 3 endings. Yeah. We'll get onto that when we get into. We're gonna keep it mostly spoiler free for right now, but as soon as we're done with impressions, then we'll get full spoiler talk. But yeah.
Okay.
There are 2 main endings, and then there's a third one that you can do by doing certain actions.
Okay. Well, I won't go into that too much to avoid any kind of spoilers from happening, but I was forced into playing the game a certain way, which is to say non-lethally. Now, I don't like playing games like that because, frankly, these guys are pretty bad people. A lot of bad people that you encounter in this game. And
I do like to kill people.
Yes, and I wish I could have, but I knew that the ending would have been determined by it. And obviously, it does the stupid thing where it says, "Oh, if you kill people and do bad things, it's a bad ending. It's a bad thing." So I was like begrudgingly set into, I got to do it non-lethally. And that was actually, when I was playing the game, first of all, that was kind of the pervading thought. I enjoyed the combat because, you know, to say quickly, combat's very fun, but I couldn't do it because usually that's going to entail you to kill the person that you're fighting. But I have to do the non-lethal playthrough, so I had to ignore that.
You made this choice yourself.
I know, but I want the good ending. That's what I want. So it's it's like an enforcer trying to get you to pay like a protection fee. You don't want to do it, but you know what's going to happen if you don't do it. They're going to hurt you. Even though you have a choice, you don't want to make that choice based off of the action that's going to come after the choice you make.
Connor, I know you don't give a shit about like trophies or platinum trophies, but if you're gonna play it non-lethally, why didn't you just why not just go for the platinum?
I have no clue.
Oh, there's so much more work after that.
Oh, see, I wouldn't know that because I didn't even bother to look at the trophy list. I just played through the game and I was like, because I do not look at trophy lists when I play games, except for like a select few. But,
So, go ahead.
To get back on track, it suckering me into playing it a certain way was kind of annoying me at first because I was like, okay, you're controlling me indirectly by locking a certain ending behind a certain play style, which I didn't like. And for many other games, it would generally be a point that I'd go through the entire game and say, okay, yeah, that's the sour note of the game. But it dissipated because as I was going through it,
I'll say also, you don't need a 0 kill count. You can kill and still get the good ending.
And I did, but I barely killed because I didn't know what was. I didn't know.
I did not.
Not.
Well, let's go ahead, Phil. Someone who had played just a couple of hours early on and is snacking on the microphone. Played just a couple of hours early on. Shut up. So a couple of hours early on. What did you think doing a full playthrough all these years later? What was your impressions of Dishonored?
God, I believe you said it best in our group chat when you said, "Man, this game fucks."
This game fucks.
It's a good fucking game. I played a few times on stream. Once with Tavin talking to me.
Twitch.tv/stupidgames.
That's right. Every Tuesday. Anyway. God damn, dude, it's just so satisfying. Almost everything you can do in that game is satisfying. Like it tickles that little part of my brain, you know? Like I loved. There were some bits that I thought were more fun to do lethally. Like I had more fun killing the twins than making them suffer or whatever. Fate worse than death. Dude, I was telling Tavin, I did something so fucking cool in that was it the golden cat? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Before
we get into the nitty gritty, like let's just stick to general impressions.
Okay. Dude, just there's something so sad, like causing a swarm of rats to go at the feet of your opponent and then them getting devoured. Is just there's nothing like it. There's no game like it. You know?
God. Phil, are you good?
Yeah, I'm great.
He's just really horny about rats.
But no, I played Deathloop. That was the first like real arcane game I played before really like hopping into Dishonored. Because like I said, I think it was like a senior in high school. I played like 2 hours or something like that. That was obviously much after the game came out. Anyway, so having that kind of, I wouldn't even really call it prior knowledge, but like just the blink was very satisfying. I like blinking around. I wish there was a cloaking thing like there was in Deathloop, because I used and abused that shit a ton in Deathloop. I guess it would make this game way easier.
Yeah, this game has so many more tight corners and like little alleyways and stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, Deathloop's a more open concept, so like there's more like open streets where you're gonna need to be invisible, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about Deathloop. But no, I really enjoyed myself. I tried the wind thing. That wasn't a very satisfying power up.
Pretty good.
I don't know. It's very good at making you feel powerful and making you feel, and also I should also counteract. You're not always super powerful. Like there's some bits that you will get swarmed.
They'll get you.
If you're causing a ruckus. If you're causing a ruckus, they'll fucking bring the hammer down on you, okay?
Tides will turn very fast.
Those fucking tall boys are pretty cool. Anyway. Great game. I had a great time playing it. I did not bother worrying about doing everything non-lethally. I murdered some motherfuckers left and right.
So did you get the high chaos?
Yes, high chaos ending, yeah.
Oof.
Elizabeth
So
made a cool picture of my mask on the wall. That was cool.
I actually played this game twice throughout the month. Because I did, like Connor, I did the I actually went through and did fully 100% non-lethally. I ended up actually platinuming this game over the course of the month. And I've played this game.
The audience might have thought that I got the platinum because I'm always on your tail.
Well, you only like cheap platinums that aren't worthy. No, I got the platinum number 73 for me. I played Dishonored when it came out back in the day on Xbox 360. I loved that game then. I don't believe I got all the gamer score, but I got really damn close back in the day.
Did it only was it?
No, it was everything.
Okay, I just
played it on 360 back in the day.
Okay.
And then yeah, I've always loved and adored this game. I've always felt it was super underrated, and coming back all these years later to it, it's even more underrated than I had it in my own mind. This is one of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion. Like Connor said, the level design is perfect. There is very few examples of better level design. There are very few examples of level design in games that are even on par to this game. It is just a masterpiece in craftsmanship. The way that the levels unfold, the way that the narrative and the world unfolds throughout levels, you can find there's like a device, like a music box that enemies use against you to block your magic powers. That doesn't come up until like level 4. You can find one in level 1, like just sitting on a bench, like hanging out with a note to it. Level 3 or 4, I forget which one, is like a party. And to get into the party, you can either sneak your way in by like taking a back road, that's kind of risky, or you can just walk right up to the front gate and hand them a party invitation, but you have to find the party invitation in the level. Or 2 levels before that, on the bridge level, you can find a party invitation there. The way that this game interconnects from level to level to level is brilliant. I think it's just a masterclass in game design. My only real hangups are the story isn't phenomenal. It's good enough. Like it gets you from point to point. You kind of care about the sort of secondary and tertiary characters back at your main hub, your main like game hub at the Hound. What is it called? The Hound Pits. Yeah, you kind of care about those characters, but I don't think they do a very good job of like giving you real reasons to care like a whole lot about them. And I think its emotional points resonate well enough, but sometimes not at all. Specifically, the high chaos ending, when you do finally save Emily at the end, totally like left field. You don't believe that at all. But it's fine. It's good enough. On top of that, Connor, I actually kind of disagree with you. I don't think the gameplay is that great. Like, I think it's good enough. But it's meant to be a stealth game. But when you actually engage in open combat, I think the game feels super clunky. Yeah, its sword fights are not satisfying. The animations are satisfying. They're really well animated when you're slicing dudes up and chopping them apart. And when they drop dead from a crossbolt to the face or something, all of that feels great. And the powers in the game feels good. It feels good to move and traverse throughout the levels and such. I think it's just when combat actually kicks off, this is one of those games that I would rather just restart my checkpoint as soon as I get caught. Or like just fuck it, like, all right, pull my pistol out, shoot everybody in the face, slash at a couple dudes, but yeah, I'm gonna reload my save and just not really enjoy it in the moment. It feels a lot better when I'm sneaking around and when I get up behind a guy and stab him in the neck or choke him out. I love that you can choke dudes out and then pull them back. To kind of like pull them into the shadows type stuff. I like all of that is awesome. But yeah, I think this game excels in the details. But overall, like I think it's just missing a few things to push it from great game to next echelon phenomenal. But I still stand on this is one of the best crafted games ever made. Speaking of interconnected levels, and then actually I'm gonna revert back. So there are three endings to the game. There are the two main ones in which you do the low chaos thing, and it's basically all based upon how Emily and how the world reacts to you as Corvo's actions. You're an assassin sent on to kill some people who killed your empress and framed you for it. So you're sneaking through levels. You're the most wanted man in the nation, et cetera, et cetera. And your ward, the empress's daughter, Emily, has been taken capture. So you have to spend a level getting her back. And then she gets captured again at the end of the game. And as you progress through the game, really at about a little more than halfway, there's a point in which characters start acting differently. And it's right, if you've played the game, we're going to jump into spoilers now. It's right when you're about to be betrayed by your loyalists or whatever, your fellow.
It's the second time in the entire game that you're betrayed.
Yeah, I know, right? The power corrupts. Complete. What is the turn of phrase? Anyways,
Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
there it is. But there are certain things that change depending on your actions throughout the game. If you're killing everybody and you've got a high chaos thing, as you progress later in the game, there's going to be a lot more infected people because there's a plague ravaging the city. There's going to be like heavier guard presence. Characters will kind of treat you with disdain. Samuel, your boat driver, who's like your main man, on the entrance of the last level, he'll basically say, "Hey man, I fucking hate you," or like, "Man, you're a good man. I really respect you for doing only what needs to be done. Like you're a good guy."
Samuel did not fuck with me.
Samuel does. Yeah, if you're high chaos, he did not fuck with you.
He was so cool though. He was always.
He's a
nice
great
with
guy. I
you.
love Samuel.
I love the character, but he was like, I want to look up the exact words, but it was like so heartbreaking. Like his way he like.
He just rips India for being a monster, which, frankly, the people deserved it. Who cares? They'll deserve it.
Anyways, and then like certain characters don't make it to the end, depending on your chaos level. For example, the maid, what is her name? Starts with a C. Callista.
Yeah.
Callista, yeah. She will die if you're in high chaos. She'll be spared if you're in low chaos. Yep. And then really the main effect is on Emily, because as her as the empress, she'll either be a benevolent ruler and very kind and peaceful to the people, or she'll rule with an iron fist and just be like evil.
Does your progress carry over for Dishonored 2?
No.
Okay.
It's the good. It defaults to the good ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
From my understanding.
Yeah, they default the good ending. But there's a secret third ending in which you fail to save Emily. If you, I forget exactly how you do it, but you have to be in high chaos.
Is it if Havelock like basically like pushes her off or what?
It's a way that you deal with Havelock right there at the end. So Connor, because you don't know, because you only saw the low ending. Well, and Phil, the low chaos ending, Havelock poisons the other loyalists. They're all sitting at a table like dead, like Uncharted 4 Pirates at the Table style, and then he's like up in the tower, but he's just kind of chilling there. Like it's nothing that crazy. Like Emily is literally just locked in a closet, and you just find her and save her that way. And in high chaos, Connor, the loyalists are going to war with each other. Like the entire last level is a battleground, and it takes place at night. The low chaos takes place at day.
That sounds way cooler.
I mean, it's mostly the same. It's just you'll hear gunshots going off in the distance. Like the design is mostly the same. Like where the characters are.
It was pretty atmospheric. I liked it.
Yeah, I would have preferred that more. Damn it.
Atmospheric wise, it is a better final ending, but narratively, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So, anyways, yeah, they're like going to war with each other. You have the option to kill them or just run past them. It doesn't matter. But if you're already there, fucking get them all, right? They betrayed you. Fuck them.
Right.
And it's that great.
Sweeney Todd and that motherfucker.
It's that great like slow mo every time you go and kill a high value target, and you feel so good when you fucking stab him in the fucking throat. Anyways, but when you get to the top of the tower, Emily and Havelock are like, how would you say it? They're like engaged. Like he's got her by the arm, she's trying to pull away.
Yeah, it's like they're like struggling, you know.
Yeah. And ideally, you sneak up on Havelock and stab him and kill him, and he falls. And then Emily gives you a hug and says, "Now I'm going to be Empress, and no one is ever going to fuck with me again." Yada yada yada. There's a third ending in which I believe if you shoot Havelock instead of stabbing him, both of them go over. And then it's just a final epilogue of the outsider being like, "Yo, you fucked up." That shit is over.
I didn't see this particular version of it, but apparently I saw a video where if you possess Havelock, Emily knows that it's actually you and it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll run away now."
Oh, that's interesting. That makes a lot of
She
sense.
just runs away.
That's cool.
Havelock shouldn't be immune to possession.
That's
not
actually
special.
really cool. Yeah, and there's so many small little things like that throughout the course of the game. I think Granny Rags is a great example of how interconnected this game is, because you can kill Granny Rags at any point in the game.
Like right from the beginning, you can, yeah.
Yeah, like right immediately. And if you do, when you get to the sewers bit, there's that gate that's locked or whatever. You just open that gate and walk right through, and it's not a problem at all. And you don't even see that confrontation. Did both of you see the confrontation between Granny Rags and Slackjaw?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you guys resolve that scenario?
I knocked out Granny Rags after the boss fight, and then both of them just went on their way.
After the
Same.
boss fight, so you engaged her in a fight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then
It was the same for me, because like I was doing fucking like you saw on stream, I was knocking some people out and killing some people indiscriminately. But I also knocked out Granny Rags, because as crazy as fucking nuts as she is, I liked her character.
And also, Slackjaw was not a good guy. Let's be quite honest.
No,
So,
he's not.
in
But
reality-
both of you sided with Slackjaw
Yeah,
and like
because
freedom and stuff. Yeah.
She was gonna kill him pretty brutally. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's fucked up.
I assisted Granny Rags. I fucking poisoned the elixir, so.
I did too.
Oh, in the beginning of the game, yeah. That's another example. Like if you do that, Slackjaw's hideout has less goons, and locked up in a cage are like 3 or 4 infected people.
Yep. And then they get out whenever. So it's like right before the Golden Cat level.
Yeah.
They escape on your way out, and then they kill almost all of his guys.
You see, I didn't see the cage with them in it, and then when I walked out, all of a sudden there's infected there, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, you're like,
Guys,
where did they come from?
Yeah, because so on my way in, I see, because I had the heart out, I see a fucking, I can't remember if it's a bone charm or a rune in the cage.
I believe it's a bone
And
charm.
Okay. And I see it in there. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not about to open that up. I'm just gonna leave and come back to it at some point. And then I left, and it was open because all the guys escaped. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sneak in here, grab this, and go on my way. I'm not even gonna I'm just gonna let them fight it out.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. That's it. But back to the Granny Rags situation. There's a way that you can just take her out completely, like non-lethally. You don't have to fight her at all. And it's basically the idea that like she's got like these mystic powers where like she turns into rats, and then you have to fight her and shit. In her room up above, there's a furnace, and there's a like next to her bed, there's a furnace. In her bed is like a little medallion, and the medallion holds all of her powers. So if you take the medallion, throw it in the furnace, she gets mad at you. She's like, "What the fuck? Like, why did you do that?" But then she's just a normal woman, and you just like choke her out or stab her or whatever, and then like that's it, and she's just done that way. And that's how I resolved that conflict.
That is how I did it.
That's how you do. You burn the little medallion.
Because I did that, and she was still running around. I didn't see her not doing the powers anymore, and I just shot her with the bolt. And I was like, oh, she's knocked out. You snoring over there.
Yeah, but yeah, like, and just the way that conflict resolves, like, I love that, like, as soon as you open that gate that was locked to you, depending on your chaos level, like, you could come across, if you're low chaos, you're coming across, like, this, like, nice little, like, peaceful, like, little shanty town that just lives in the sewers, or fucking, like, 15 infected. And you're just like, holy shit.
There's a lot of weepers in there.
Yeah. When you go to get your stuff back, after you get betrayed and sent to the assassins level or whatever, which is my least favorite level in the game. When you go to get your stuff back, depending on your chaos level, there will be like 3 weepers in there, or there will be like 8. Most of them are just sleeping, but still, it's just like, oh shit, like you can see your how effective this has all been. So yeah,
Mhm.
I ended up playing the game twice. My first time was non-lethally all the way through from front to back. Didn't find it as difficult as I used to when I was younger, and that's probably just because I'm less of an idiot now. But
You
I
can
remember
actually
being
think.
like really, really hard, and then now I was just like, oh, this is easy. Just save scum your way through it. But even then, it's just like, just don't be an idiot, and play it safe. But yeah, and then there's a trophy for beating the game without getting any upgrades. You can have bone charms equipped, and you can like upgrade your pistol and your mask and your boots and stuff, but you can't
no
use any
power
runes.
upgrades.
Yeah, no power upgrades. So you just have level 1 blink, and that's it. Um, which
Tough.
it comes with challenges, but when a game as AI as easily manipulated as this, and is easy to just cut through people as it is, I basically just ran through it, and my first playthrough maybe took me 10 hours. My second one took me like 4, because I was just running through stabbing goons. Gentlemen, talk to me about some of your favorite levels.
Connor, go ahead.
I did like the Golden Cat one. It was simple. It was still early in the game, so I was still getting used to the system, so it did have a level of difficulty since still trying to like iron out how I was playing the game, which comes back to the point I was making before. I was upset earlier because of how it was, from my playthrough experience, limiting me to one ending because I have to get the good ending. That's what I have to do. I
Doing
can't
this to
go-
yourself.
I know. But that was my annoyance of like it restricting your gameplay experience based off of an ending, which at the core of it, whether you kill people or not kill people, shouldn't really matter all that much. Especially because
Connor,
Emily doesn't even.
just come to the dark side. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does,
Just,
and
just do what you want.
But that's the thing. That I don't have that as a criticism because it offered you to do it in non-lethal ways that had interesting twists. It wasn't just you knock them out, you do the objective, and it's done. It actually felt like you were doing it in a non-lethal way, but still bringing justice to the people that deserved it. Because almost everyone that you go for is a bad person.
Those non-lethal like ways to eliminate them are brutal. Like some of them are way worse than death.
Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe it equals it out. But even so,
Especially those twins.
Oh, they get fucked up.
Yes, I know. But even that part aside, I was still satisfied with the non-lethal playthrough, just because it made me approach the game from an angle that I usually don't go for anymore in any other game. So even though I was miffed at first about not being able to do the combat stuff, and like I said, I enjoyed the combat, so not being able to do it that way kind of like upset me at first. But it's, as you guys said, using Blink to traverse the levels, which are designed immaculately, using the jump to escape from encounters where you do
That
get
double
caught.
jump is a big one.
Yup, dude,
Yeah,
agility is so good.
It was, and that was the fun thing, as I was going through things non-lethally, but not just sneaking. I was able to go through it just running through people, bending time, and okay, they see me and notice me while the time is being bent, but I have time to know which angle I'm going to go to get out of their line of sight and go back into hiding. So it provided a game experience that I usually don't partake in, which just made the game all the more better. Not to mention, I do like the satisfaction of getting the good ending. Nothing beats that, which, made it all worth it in the end. So I came to actually like that aspect of the game, whereas originally it was a negative when I was first playing it. Additionally, I do like how I know you had said before, certain aspects change depending on your actions that you do. So, for example, one of the things you mentioned earlier was Callista. She dies if you have high chaos. Is it high chaos, or is it freeing her uncle that does that?
Oh, you have to do both.
You
Yeah.
have to do both? Okay.
Yeah.
That seems kind of weird because from what Havelock said, he would do that regardless of the high or low chaos ending because he owed the uncle a favor.
I can confirm through my second playthrough, if you're high chaos, Callista dies.
That's strange. But anyway, that aside, the abilities, I wish they were a little bit, if this is one of the bigger criticisms I can say, were kind of limited. I like I said before, I did a non-lethal playthrough, which even though it was fun, a lot of the abilities were kind of centered around killing people. There was the one where if you killed someone, they would disappear. The rat swarm that Phil really liked, the wind blast. All of those things didn't really lend to a non-lethal gameplay. So even though I enjoyed my experience, it felt like the systems that the game threw at me were limited and weapons as well included, were limited due to wanting a non-lethal playthrough.
So you felt like the game was tempting you to be like, are you sure you don't want to kill people?
Almost.
Okay.
I don't know what those freaky game devs were doing. What were they trying to get us to do?
I mean, you do have a point. Like all of the quote unquote cool ones are locked off if you're doing a non-lethal route, but they do try to balance it out by giving you the stop time mechanic, by giving you. Oops, I've fucked everything up. Oh, I'm fucking everything up.
Stop
How do
time,
I
possession.
get back? Stop time and possession and some of the more agility based things, but you do miss out on the shadow kill stuff. You do miss out on the rat swarms, which is a really cool power.
But even those non-lethal powers still would have also been used in melee in combat in killing situations. So even then, it seems like with that angle, it really was just like still limiting your powers.
Yeah, I used stop time more often in my lethal playthrough than I did in my non-lethal one.
Whenever I
did
did
run by everybody.
Yeah, just because blink gets you where you need to be 95% of the time. And so forth. So yeah, it's just kind of a thing. And I also felt like the wind blast, I don't think I've ever used that power ever because it doesn't seem useful to me. Why knock people over when I can shoot them in the face? You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like if you're going through and like collecting all of the runes and all of the bone charms, you have plenty by the end of the game. You're good. You have the powers you want, and then the ones you don't want, you're like, why would I fucking care about these? Like, who cares? But I do know, I'm pretty sure there's not enough to unlock everything fully. Like you do have to pick and choose.
Yeah, that makes sense because I did a lot of the runes and didn't have a lot of my I didn't have the final bend time upgraded, and so that was very, very pricey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one's like 5, right?
I thought it was like 8, the second level. Or something.
I think it might be 5 at first, and then 8 for the level up after that. I forget exactly. Maybe it's 3 and 8. I couldn't. I just don't remember. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'll just we're on this topic right now with runes and charms, the bone charms that increased your abilities, gave you special abilities and whatnot. I found it very fun because I would see the way to get through a mission or part of the level very easily and quickly, and I would start going that route. But before I went into the next area or whatnot, I would look around and say, oh, the difficult areas or the less simple areas have the bone charms.
Have all the goodies.
Have the runes. Yeah. So it actually, it's very simple, and it's not. This isn't high level, game development of making you have this risk reward type deal, but it made it feel like going through the difficult parts of the game was worth it because, like as you said, those charms are really good at increasing certain abilities, getting more powers with runes. It really is necessary for the game to function the way it does because the more powers you have, the more fun the game is. It's kind of naturally how it is. So there's
a graph that shows that.
Yeah. So now it wasn't really a problem for me since I inherently would have wanted to get those things anyway. But for people that may otherwise just want to, get through the game as quick as possible, for those types of players, it gave incentive to want to go do the parts that they would have to spend more time on in the game as a whole to get your little goodies. And that was just an interesting aspect that made it very fun and each level interesting, knowing that I had to explore the entire thing, develop, get a complete layout of what the mission is like. It's very, very positive aspect of that game that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Phil, because we got kind of stuck there. What was your favorite level?
Probably would agree with Connor. I like the Golden Cat. I really like the party level too. But as far as I was gonna say
Boyle.
earlier, yeah, Lady Boyle. I was gonna say earlier, during Golden Cat, I had such a cool moment where there's the guy on the second floor. I went around to the back, killed the guard that was in front of the door, for the back door. Opened the door, was sneaking. There's a partition in the way from the window, so he couldn't see me outside. And so I went in, I lined up a shot with my crossbow on him, hit bend time to slow time, shot him in the face, moved to the courtesan and choked her out because that was the only thing, that was the only one that I chose not to kill were innocents, were innocent people. That's the only thing that I kind of decided if I was I'm not gonna just kill regular people, I'm only gonna kill the bad ones,
I slaughtered everybody.
But yeah, so I just felt really cool. I I bent time, shot him in the face, whoop, and then fucking choked her out before she even knew what happened.
Yeah. I mean, and then Connor, to your point about how like you felt kind of tight ended into the non-lethal stuff. This game is short enough. Like it's a good length. It's what 8 hours ish, 8 to 10, depending on how long you want to take. Yeah. It's almost like 2 games in one, just by how you approach level by level. Like you can do the non-lethal approach and be super stealthy and super sneaky, and really go that extra mile, or just have fun, man. Stab people. Eat them alive with rats, take control of their minds, like all that fun stuff, to where it's almost, and the level design is flexible enough, and the game design is flexible enough. Yeah, it's a true just sandbox game, and it's fucking fantastic to just see all the small little changes that happen throughout the game. Like if I do this in level 3, level 7 is gonna play like this, like type thing. Like it's really well crafted. And I just can't get enough of that. Phil, I'm with you. I'm probably between one of those early levels of either the Golden Cat or the Party. Doing the little detective work of like scavenging through letters and reading them and getting details and talking to party guests to figure out which one your target is.
I do think it's cool. You were telling me on stream that like you even mentioned it before, about how there's different ways you can enter the party, like from different levels. I do think that's another cool element that makes the party level stand out, is that there's multiple other ways to approach it. Like I'd say even more than the other levels, because I mean obviously you can go in through like a window, a door. That's the case for most levels, but I think the party is just like another layer.
There's like a contextual reason as to why you're entering the way you are.
Yeah, and it's way more immersive.
Yeah, and I think the openness of the levels are really shown in the early ones. Like level 2 all the way to like level 5. As you start getting to like the later ones, they become a little more linear or a little more like singular, focused on objective. But there's still a good amount of level design in there, and a good amount of like sneaking around and figuring your way out in there. Like, don't get me wrong, like the level design never falters. It's just the objective of each level kind of changes. I do want to give a shout out to the level where you take on the Lord Regent. I think that one is the most complex level in terms of like, if you fuck up, the punishment is high. Like it is a high punishing level, because there are traps everywhere, guards everywhere. There are very few friendly, quote unquote, friendly NPCs in that level, and that is the one that really puts your skills to the test. And it's about half-ish way through the game, so it's at the point to where the game is like, all right, time to see what you've learned, because the rest of the game is going to be kind of tough. Gentlemen, anything else we want to mention about Dishonored before we rank this bad boy?
Yes, I just need to touch a little bit on the DLC that I played.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah. So you play as Dowd.
Yeah, I never played it.
Yeah, they're arguably the most interesting character in that game, just because you see when you go through his level the issues he has with actually killing the Empress, and actually the events that spiraled out of control in the city, making everything worse for everybody. He also gets affected by, in terms of him feeling regret over doing it, and the DLC dives into this character more. Now, real quickly, did either of you ever play the DLC at any point?
I did back in the day, but I on this replay I did not.
No, I never touched it.
I remember it being fantastic.
It was, because the level design didn't all of a sudden get worse.
What was the subtitle for it?
Well, there's two. There's the first one, which is The Blade of Dunwall, and the second one, which is The Witches of Brigamore, which is a sequel to what happens in the first one.
It's
and
a two-parter.
It is. And the chaos rating, you can, the first DLC, The Blade of Dunwall, it still has the low-high chaos, good, bad ending.
Yeah, I thought there was only one DLC.
Yeah. There's three, but one of them is a trial thing or whatnot. Only one of the two other ones are about Dowd. But getting to see his character and getting into the mindset of how he views things and the regret that he's had in his life and the actions that he's chosen. Like, he has killed tons of people at this point, and
that's why they call him the Blade of Dunwall.
Exactly. And he's killed lords, he's killed politicians, he's killed cheating husbands and wives, and he laments them. He talks about how that whatever, right? Doesn't matter. Their lives don't matter. And Emily Caldwell, she's just a normal, run-of-the-mill, high life official. She's a politician. She's a queen. how good can she be? You know, how much of an actual good person is she? Quite a bit of one, because everything spiraled out. Because everything spiraled out of control, and she realized she was holding back the city from just falling into disarray. And you see him you see that change his entire perspective going from that point in the game throughout the entire DLC. Because you would think he'd just be fine with going around killing everyone, the low and high chaos, which obviously, is carrying on from the main game. But doing a low chaos, it gives an interesting aspect to his character because you see him kind of regret his life and seeing that he just kind of wants to get out of it, to leave the city, leave the life of killing behind. And choosing that, because I obviously chose the good ending, the one where he has the low chaos. It was nice to see this guy seek redemption. It was a good redemption story, which, like I said, he was probably the best character in the entire game of Dishonored. Corvo was really cool, but he's a silent, nameless protagonist, whereas his Dodd is a multifaceted, interesting character. Comet was great. He had an interesting little unique twist to his blink, because whereas his, it would slow down time whenever he would activate it. So you'd have a lot more control in high intensity situations to plan out where you're going to go, especially when you upgrade it to the second level, which completely stops time. So it just makes it, and you can do it in the air as well. So you can jump very far distances and then stop in the middle of the air, or slow down in the middle of the air and blink to other locations, which added a lot more of a maneuverability to
That's how the power works in Deathloop.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Well,
it's that exactly. Which that also makes sense as to why that happens, because in his level, did either of you try to stop time
yes.
while you went to get him? Yeah, doesn't work. He's still walking around. He's still doing whatever he wants. Yeah. And if you try to shoot him, he teleports out the way.
I saw a funny video where, like, I was just trying to, like, gather my opinions on Dishonored before we did this. And I watched a video, and he was like, Dishonored is a game where you can stop time. Someone can shoot you. You can stop time, grab the bullet, put it in your gun, and shoot him in the face. And I was like, yeah.
There's a trophy for getting 5 people to accidentally commit suicide, and the way I did that is I waited for them to shoot, I stopped time, I took possession of them, and then I walked them in front of their own bullet.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, it's sick. It's sick as fuck.
That's
this
insanely
game,
cool.
Guys, this game fucks. And then
how well does it?
It fucks real well, I think. And I believe Phil thinks as well. Connor, I'm interested to see where you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and let's rank this bad boy amongst all the other games that we've played so far. So, the gentlemen are seeing the list. You on youtube.com/2pennygamescast are seeing the list. For the audio listeners, I'll go ahead and read it off here for you. So, at number 1, we have The Last of Us. Number 2, Chrono Trigger. Number 3, Portal. And number 4, Resident Evil 4.
Can I just say I really like all the little, like, pictures you have of us in the back?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I thought I'd try a little bit with this one, and I think it came out okay.
This is my favorite.
The first one of, I believe, last month, the colors were wrong, so you'll never see that one again. I didn't like it. But this one I'm into. Gentlemen, I'm gonna start the bidding here.
Okay.
As someone, go ahead.
Can I start it?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
This is just, listen. All right. My personal positioning for this game, as the list stands, is in third behind Chrono Trigger. Now, I know the reason I wanted to go first is I know what's about to happen. I know what's about to happen. I'm not stupid. And now I should mention to the viewers that might not know, I am the only person to play all of Chrono Trigger in this chat. So this is the 2 Penny Gamescast top video games of all time, and it will remain so. But always keep that in mind from here on out. Before we know what Phil and Tavin are going to say, but it was hard. That's
Connor's list.
Yes, it most definitely is. But to go back to that placement of the list, the only reason I'm putting Chrono Trigger over Dishonored is because of the style of the game, which is more tailored to me. I love those old classic JRPGs, and I love the story. I love the characters. I love the art style. I gushed about it in the time where we did our overview of that game. And despite that, Dishonored is great. So the only reason I'm actually putting it over Dishonored is because of nostalgia. That was the ultimate, because Dishonored has other qualities that make it match up to Chrono Trigger enough to where I can't definitively say without that nostalgia aspect that it is worse or better than Chrono Trigger. So Chrono Trigger just edges out because it holds a place in my heart. Now now you do your duty, guys.
Okay, so this one is difficult for me because it comes down between number 1 and number 2. I think in terms of craftsmanship and level design, Dishonored kicks the shit out of Last of Us. The reason I put it, I think it's a good chunk over Chrono Trigger specifically, is because it has so much more punch than Chrono Trigger does. Chrono Trigger's a longer game, and I think a lot of its systems run out of gas pretty quickly. I don't think its systems carry you through to the end. It's a good game, don't get me wrong. I like this game. This is why I put it above Resident Evil 4 when we initially ranked it. But I just think I think this game does more with what it's offering than Chrono Trigger does as a complete package. I also, even though I harped on it earlier, I think the story is better in Dishonored than it is in Chrono Trigger. I think the characters are more likable, and I think the world is better fleshed out. The Chrono Trigger stuff, it's just kind of like they hint at some things. They're like, yeah, this is kind of what we're like, implying with this world and so forth. And Dishonored has such a well-crafted, this is exactly how this world works. This is exactly what's happening in it. And the way that like it splits and goes into different ways, I think rivals Chrono Trigger's differences in plot with the different endings in that.
I just think that Tavin doesn't like reading.
I just said I liked reading all the notes, which are way longer to read. The level design and the punch of gameplay and the just the active thing. And I'll be honest, I like stealth games more than I like a JRPG. Like I love me a good action stealth game. For that, it's solidifying at number 2. The reason I don't put it over The Last of Us is because I think The Last of Us as a whole is better crafted than Dishonored. I think it's the only thing that the Dishonored has over it is probably level design, and then you could maybe make an argument for gameplay. But especially with the remake of Last of Us Part 1, like, no, I think the gameplay is edged out to Last of Us. But in terms of narrative, in terms of crafted world, in terms of just universe and characters and making an impact, like, The Last of Us is just going to linger in my mind way longer than Dishonored ever will. And I think that's because, like, these games came out a year apart. Actually, they came out like 6 months apart. And Last of Us has always reigned on top for a reason. And I think the games speak for themselves here. So for me, it's number 2. Phil.
Well, all right, Tavin. With that being said,
the one who's played 1.5 of these games.
Okay. So, the way from where I'm sitting here,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's clear that because of what you all have said, wherever y'all have placed it, and how I put that with my own feelings, Dishonored is going to end up in number 2, even though for me, it's at number 1. So with Tavin putting it at number 2 behind Last of Us, Connor putting it at number 3 behind Chrono Trigger, and me putting it at number 1, that equates it out to being at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings the list to Last of Us, Dishonored, Chrono Trigger, Portal, Resident Evil. So my thoughts are Dishonored's number 1, Last of Us, sorry, haven't really. Time, man.
Go finish your fucking playthrough, bro. You're sitting over here playing. You're playing shitty ass games. You're fucking getting platinums in games that take 80 hours. Go finish your fucking playthrough. It's a 10-hour game.
Platinum number 40 is going to be Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay,
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Go sit down with your girlfriend for 2 afternoons and play The Last of Us. God damn it.
It would take longer than that.
You think it would take longer than that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever. Do just go play it. It's 10 hours long. Go play it. Finish Resident Evil 4 while you're at it. Okay.
Connor,
see, this is complicated.
Notice how he didn't say for me to play Chrono Trigger. Connor, you see how disrespectful that was of him?
You would never make it through Chrono Trigger. You would never make it through Chrono Trigger.
You say that.
Oh.
Go play Chrono Trigger. It's worth playing, but you're not gonna make it through. So this puts us actually in a bit of a complicated situation based off of rules we've set in the past. But all of our rules are changing come January. Connor, how do you want to handle this in a way that you think is fair?
What do you mean?
Well, in the past, we would say when it came to Chrono Trigger, you would have more sway, but that was before we added Phil, and then also with how our rules are changing in January, keep in tune for that. How would you like to do that? Just where the votes lie or where they lie?
I forgot that I have this power. I will allow Dishonored for number 2.
There we go. I also think nostalgia is not a good enough reason to keep a game.
Oh, it's a good reason. It's an amazing reason. It's an amazing reason. In fact, some might call it the best reason.
No, absolutely fucking not. Anyways, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your list. As Phil said, and I'll reiterate, number 5, Resident Evil 4, number 3, Portal. No, I'm sorry, number 4, Portal, number 3, Chrono Trigger, number 2, Dishonored, and number 1, The Last of Us. That is it for your 2 Penny Game Club. We were going at almost an hour, gentlemen. Holy cow.
That was a long one.
It was. Next month, we will be doing a 2 Penny Game Club over God of War Ragnarok. Now, this kind of breaks some more rules where we are establishing later on down the line, but we're going to letting it slip for right now because we all want to play God of War. The hype is at its peak. So, next month, we will be doing a spoiler cast / re-review of God of War Ragnarok. But if you're watching this on the day it comes out, we will be reviewing Ragnarok next week. So come back next week. We'll have a review. We may not have beaten the game, but we'll all have put in, a substantial amount of hours into the game. So come back for the review of that, and then the first Sunday, Monday, whatever it is of December, come back for the spoiler cast for that, and then we'll keep going on along the way. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me again on this great trek and journey into what are the best video games of all time. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember, you can catch us at youtube.com/2pennygames and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Phil goes live every Tuesday where is it at? Twitch.tv/2pennygames. And until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.